Hello, hello everyone. Welcome to the Tristar Gym channel. All right, let's get this show started. Chat room is back up and running. I had a major issue with the chat room. Now it's fixed, and I wanted to cover in this episode the Andy Ruiz fight. Please give me a thumbs up if you hear me loud and clear. I'm hoping everybody hears me loud and clear. New microphone, new technology, new buttons being pushed, new software. You guys are supposed to be getting super clear sound. And in this video, I want to cover the Ruiz fight. Okay, so real quick, let's play the Ruiz fight, the highlight of their last fight. These two men are fighting again this weekend. I'm really excited about this fight, so I want to do a breakdown with you guys. I had filmed the breakdown, but the chat room wasn't working. I have it all fixed now, so let's jump right into it. Let's check out this the highlights from their last fight. This is an epic fight between Anthony Joshua and Andy Ruiz. Let's watch a little bit of their rematch. These two men are fighting again this weekend. Round 3. This is round 3, major knockdown. Ruiz, the Mexican Rocky, scores the first knockdown. His first knockdown in this fight. First Mexican heavyweight champion of the world. Incredible flurry here. I'm going to fast forward a little bit so we can see the knockdown, the final knockdown. Oh, here it is. It's coming right up. The rematch is this weekend in Saudi Arabia. This is the final flurry. This is it. Heavyweight history. Overhand right. Beautiful flurry here. Small headbutt. Anthony Joshua not able to defend here. Look at his legs. They're gone. They're wobbly. Unable to stand up. Second knockdown. His legs are gone. His legs are gone. This is a stoppage right here. I thought it was a bit of an early stoppage. No, he's going to stop it. He didn't seem like he had any urgency to fight. Incredible. What an incredible fight, guys. This is heavyweight boxing history. First Mexican champion in the heavyweight division. There have been so many great Mexican fighters in the past, and this is the first heavyweight Mexican boxer to win a world title in boxing. Of course, major underdog. Andy Ruiz, a major underdog. He's one of my heroes now, one of my personal heroes. After I saw him win this fight, he was such a major underdog. Everybody thought he was going to lose in the first 2 rounds. Very few people, even though he's an excellent boxer, very few people, and I think it has a lot to do with his physique. You know, they looked at him, they're like, there's no way this man, this average looking man, is going to take out this super athlete, Anthony Joshua. So I want to open it up to you guys after I give my first initial breakdown. Okay, so give me a minute or two to give you guys my first initial breakdown of their first fight. Okay, in their first fight, I thought that Anthony Joshua's athleticism and power, and yes, he's a good boxer, but I thought that Andy Ruiz's boxing was superior in terms of technicality, technique. His technique was superior. His strategy was superior. Even though I felt like he went to the body shots too late in the fight. He should have started the body shots earlier in the fight. That's also a major point why I think in the rematch he's going to have a lot of success, because Andy Ruiz, I'm expecting him to go to the body shots earlier in this time around. Anyways, Anthony Joshua was not able to keep the distance. He has a major reach advantage, and he was unable to maintain distance with Andy Ruiz. Why is that? Andy Ruiz, like many great Mexican fighters, has a high level of forward pressure. He's not scared of Anthony Joshua, which he should be, because Anthony Joshua has knocked out, I believe he has like a 95% knockout ratio. I think there's only one of his fights he didn't score a knockout, one or two. He's knocked out everybody. And he's fought shorter fighters that are high pressure fighters. He's fought guys who look like Andy Ruiz. I just felt that Andy Ruiz was just a higher level. Yes, he's a short fighter. He's knocked out shorter fighters before. Anthony Joshua has knocked out shorter fighters before. But Andrew Ruiz has that chin, that heart, that toughness, and that beautiful technical skill for slipping and parrying and moving forward. Now, he did get knocked down. He's not a perfect boxer. Andy Ruiz did get knocked down. He got knocked down first in the fight, but he showed such grit and toughness. Being the underdog, being a guy who's not filthy rich. After the fight, Andrew Ruiz said something beautiful. He was thanking his family. He was telling his mother that they're not going to have to struggle no more, that they finally made it. And that type of heart and hunger really helps you in the fight. You could see that in that final clip that we just watched, when Anthony Joshua was against the ropes, hanging out on the ropes, when he was getting the 8 count, the referee asked him, "Do you want to fight?" He's like, yeah, I want to fight. He didn't show urgency. He wasn't like, yeah, I'm okay, this is 100% fine. That was, he didn't show any hunger. He didn't show, hey, I'm in this fight. He was kind of like, yeah, he's kind of looking away. And for him, winning or losing, it doesn't change whether he eats or not, whether he lives comfortably or not. He's made his money. He's made a lot of money. Anthony Joshua has made millions and millions of dollars boxing. Andy Ruiz, when he was knocked down, he was like, look, I got to get up. I got to build my future now. There was this hunger, this toughness that I feel that Anthony Joshua did not bring to the table. Anthony Joshua, in my opinion, was confused what was going on. This was supposed to be an easy fight. He had that look on his face. Technically, his defensive skill is not as good as people make it out to be. Anthony Joshua's offense is great. It is ferocious. However, his defense, after watching what we just watched, is lacking. And he was putting his hands up like this. He wasn't moving his feet. He wasn't circling out. He wasn't behind the shoulders. He wasn't looking. He wasn't actively looking to see what punches are coming. He was just covering up and saying, hey, I got to survive this, and it's going to be my turn to hit soon. He wasn't actively defending, looking to see what shots are coming about his way. He was just kind of covering, kind of a little bit of panic. Just kind of like, hey, I don't know what's going on. Let me just cover and hope for the best. Now, this kind of defensive maneuver could work at the lower levels, but when you have an incredible puncher like Ruiz, and he's great with the flurries. Listen, Andy Ruiz looks like he doesn't belong there, but then when you see his fighting skills and you look at his record, the man only has 1 loss and it's a split decision. The he's a great boxer. He's a world champion. He's literally, the best heavyweight in the world. Of course, there are other world champions as well. Nobody has unified all the titles yet. That is to come. But he's a legitimate world champion. He beat an undefeated fighter. And he beat him by stopping him. No controversy whatsoever. In my opinion, Andy Ruiz is the better boxer. Anthony Joshua is the superior athlete. However, Andy Ruiz is also tougher, more heart, more grit, hungrier for the win. He's willing to die in there. Whereas Anthony Joshua, I didn't feel like he had that toughness, that grit, that desire. Okay, guys, that was my preliminary thoughts on the fight. I have a lot more to say about this fight, but I'm going to open it up to the comments and questions in the chat room right now. Please, let's keep it on the fight. After we do the fight, after we cross-examine the fight, after we analyze the fight, let's open it up to anything. You guys can ask me absolutely anything. But for now, let's please zero in on the fight. Okay, guys, let's see what else you guys have to say about this fight or any questions you have about this fight. Joshua is overrated. Wilder would smoke him. That's from UUTF Jogi. Listen, I don't think he's overrated. I think his boxing skill is good. It's not phenomenal. I think it's his athleticism, his natural punching ability that makes him so great. He's a great athlete in the sport of boxing. He's a phenomenal athlete in the sport of boxing. However, is he the most skilled boxer? No. His offense is really good. His defense is just good. It's not great. And in my opinion, that's why I would pick him to lose against Wilder. You're right. I do agree with you. I think Wilder is a more technical boxer, more strategic boxer, more seasoned boxer. He has more fights, a much more devastating puncher. I think Wilder is harder to hit. I think Wilder's beaten better competition. So I would agree with you, UUT, that Wilder would win that fight. However, it remains to be seen. We don't know. Maybe Anthony Joshua wins. He wins in style. I'm picking Andy Ruiz, guys, just to make it official for the upcoming rematch this Saturday. Don't miss this fight. It's going to be a beautiful fight. It's going to be a legendary rematch. If Anthony Joshua wins and possibly goes on to fight Wilder, that would be an interesting fight. I would be picking Wilder. I do agree with you there. The skill level of Wilder is greater, in my opinion. All right, what else we got here? All right, it's skipping along, getting a lot of comments here. I'm opening it up to comments. Did Andy Ruiz's last flurry remind you a bit of like Fedor? He looked like Fedor. That's from One Strike Beast. I do agree with you. He did remind me of Fedor. Fedor fought many. First of all, physically, he reminded me of Fedor. You know, Fedor was actually a little less chubby. And Fedor always fought bigger, taller, gigantic heavyweights. Andy Ruiz doesn't look like he's the same size as Anthony Joshua. He doesn't. That's what makes him so intriguing. And yes, you're right. Those overhand rights, those flurries, I call it kangaroo boxing, where you're jumping up off the ground. Both feet are leaving the ground. You're leaping in. And a lot of times you're the shorter guy. You kind of jump up. That explosive jump that we've seen so many great boxers do, like Tyson. Not all the time. Of course, you want to stay grounded with your boxing, but there are times where your reach is not enough. You got to kind of explode from the legs. And it's funny because you added a lot of power to that, but there's a lot of risk, of course. Once your feet leave the ground, you're very susceptible to getting hurt if you get hit. Okay, so it's not technically the right thing to do in every moment, but there's a time and place where it's good to jump, to leap in like that and flurry. There's a time and place, and of course it's a risk. It's a calculated risk that the fighter is taking. I thought it was phenomenal. That flurry was very reminiscent of Fedor, absolutely. All right, and still Ruiz will retain the title. That's from Esteban. Esteban, a believer in Andy Ruiz's boxing ability. And Esteban, I agree with you, my friend. I do believe he will retain the title, but not an easy fight. Anthony Joshua is a monster. Now, this brings me to my next point. Here's why I'm picking Andy Ruiz. Here's another reason why I'm picking Andy Ruiz. And guys, I don't want to make it sound like this is going to be an easy fight. This is going to be a war. But Anthony Joshua on social media, we've looking at, his pictures are surfacing, and he seems to have lost weight. Now, he's lost weight for one of two reasons. And this is all speculation here, okay? So nobody hold me accountable to this. This is all speculation. One, he's going into caloric deficit because he thinks he's going to be faster and lighter and have better stamina. Some fighters have these kind of ideas in their head. I preach against it. I tell guys, no, don't lose muscle on purpose. Don't try to be overly muscled. Don't try to put on too much muscle. Don't try to pack on muscle that you don't need. Don't be this it's not a bodybuilding competition. I totally get that, but the opposite is also true. Let your body do your boxing workout, do your fitness workout, and let the muscle be a byproduct of your training. Do the right things in training, and don't go in the mirror and say, hey, I should add muscle here or take muscle out. That's not what you want to do. You want to get stronger, you want to lose fat, and you want to get stronger. You want the right body composition, because that's efficiency. I don't need dead weight on my body when I'm fighting. Okay, fat is just dead weight. You need very little fat. Okay, you don't need too much fat. Now, it's rare that an athlete has too little fat. It can happen. Like if we're talking about somebody who's 5%, hitting even lower than that, in my opinion, these are very rare cases. You're rarely ever going to see this. Okay, but let's put those rare cases aside for now, because they're not interesting right now. They're not interesting for this conversation. You don't want excess amounts of fat. You don't want excess amounts of muscle. And you don't want too little muscle. And I feel like Anthony Joshua has too little muscle right now. The pictures I saw were actually quite shocking. Sometimes fighters think that they're going to be faster and lighter and quicker, and they're going to move better if they lose muscle. In my opinion, this is not true. Muscle is there for a reason. If you're boxing your body's going to calibrate the amount of muscle it needs. Your body will take care of that business. Your body knows what it's doing. Now, here's the other reason why you can lose weight. You could lose muscle. It's because you maybe were on PEDs in the past and you're no longer on PEDs right now. Now, I'm not saying he's on PEDs, and I understand that boxers are tested. But I'm not sure, but I don't believe they are tested USADA style. I don't believe they are tested. They are tested USADA style. USADA will test blood and urine. In my opinion, the best test is hair, blood, and urine. That's the best test. Okay, but USADA will test blood and urine. When you're tested by a commission only, this is how it used to be. And I'm only saying this because this is how we were tested in the past. UFC fighters were tested in the past only the week of the fight. If you know when you're getting tested, you should know, for those of you who know about PEDs, I don't know much about PEDs, but I've heard things, right? Yes, this is bro science 100%, but I know fighters will take steroids before the week of the, leading up to the fight, and they know when they need to stop taking it so they can pass the test. If they know the urine test is on a certain week, they'll stop. They know how long those drugs will stay in their system, and they have ways of flushing it out of their system. And also, some tests cannot be detected by urine only. In the past, MMA fighters were only tested by the commission, and the commission will only take urine the week of the fight. So fighters there were so many things they did. I heard about what they do. I never had a fighter do this. Okay, in the history of all the fighters I've ever worked with, personally, I've worked with, there's only one guy who's ever tested positive. I don't want to say his name. It was years ago. He was not a super mega fighter. He was not an elite fighter. If he was, you would have all heard about it. I don't like to bring his name. I don't want to bring up the past. But it's only literally from Tristar, we've only ever had one guy get flagged. One. And it was many, many years ago before you started testing. And I was shocked and surprised. Okay. But again, it's just a fighter you guys will not know too well. And I don't want to bring his name up. I don't recommend this to my fighters, but the point of what I was talking about earlier is that if the man lost this much muscle, it might be because he got off PEDs. Now, if he did get off PEDs, he's going to lose. If all those wins he racked up, which I don't think it was the reason here. We're just speculating because this is what's circulating on the internet. I'm just addressing the issue. If it was due to PEDs, he's going to have a bad performance that night. If you're on PEDs and then you get off PEDs, your performance is going to suffer. In my opinion, it's going to suffer majorly. If he gets blown out of the water, if he gets killed, if he gets just eradicated in this fight, I think it lends credence to this theory, which I don't agree with because there's no hard proof. Okay. The other reason is that sometimes fighters think they'll be lighter and faster, like we said, and I think that's also a bad idea. I think that if he's going in this fight looking like he's looking at social media, I hope these are just bad pictures. I hope these are just like really, sometimes I don't know why, but you might look skinnier in a photo. Whatever it is, I hope he comes to the fight like he was in the last fight and he just boxes better. His physical conditioning was not the issue in the last fight. His physical conditioning was not the issue in the last fight. His strength levels better be what they were in the last fight if he wants to try to win. Last fight, he got outboxed. And his major issue was he was not controlling the distance properly. He has a much greater reach than Ruiz. Ruiz was able to close the distance and flurry. The shorter man has more leverage on the inside in the fight. The taller man has more leverage on the outside. The fight was won on the inside because Anthony Joshua was not able to maintain distance. This is a footwork issue. This is a jabbing issue. This is a distance control issue. This is a head movement issue. This is a counterpunch issue, not a physical issue. All right, guys, with that said, what do you guys think about the rematch? Let me know. I got AJ by KO in the rematch. Really? Why? What makes you think he can KO Andy Ruiz? Now, it's a possibility for sure because he's KO'd so many men. I think he's won like 20 fights by KO. He's got 21 wins. The guy is a KO expert. It wouldn't surprise me if he KOs Andy Ruiz. It wouldn't surprise me. Although I do give it 55-45 Andy Ruiz in the rematch. I'm not liking the pictures I see on social media. He looks smaller than usual. Do you see any holes in Ruiz's game? Hard call. That's from Manu S. Manu, I do see holes in Andy Ruiz's game. Of course, every fighter's got holes. Number one, he's overweight. He needs to lose that fat. He needs to replace it by muscle. He needs to up his athleticism. He's got a major gap in his athleticism. However, he does have surprising... Listen, he's got 10 pounds of fat, at least, of too much. Now go in the gym and put on a 10-pound weighted vest and do a couple of rounds. You're going to be like, hey, you know what? I'm more tired than usual. Yeah, that's what Andy Ruiz is walking around with. He's carrying a 10 pounds of dead weight at least. At the very minimum, it's 10 pounds of dead weight. He needs to trim down and add muscle to his body. He's under-muscled, over-fat. Too much fat. Okay. Again, it's genetic. The guy's training. But there are ways to get rid of that fat. His trainers, if they knew better, in my opinion, they'd get him to do extra work in the aerobic zone and just get into that fat immediately. If you're within 65 to 75% of your cardiovascular capability, your body goes directly into the fat deposits. He needs to do 30, 40, 50 minutes of road work a day in that zone just to lose the dead weight. That's going to be outside of his physical training, of his other trainings for boxing, because he needs to take that 10 pound vest off before the fight. Now it's too late now, it's really too late, but he needs to add muscle, lose fat, and of course increase his boxing skill, which I don't think he's done. I just don't think his trainers know about this. He needs to clean up his diet. He can lose the weight. It's just harder for somebody who's predisposed to his body's predisposed probably to creating fat. It's harder for him to lose fat, but he could still lose the fat, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, guys, what else we got here? Give me some more comments and questions on this fight. I'm really excited about this fight. Does AJ, it skipped. Ruiz has to KO AJ to win because the fix is in 100%. That's from Sonoran Desert Grower. He believes that the fight is, if it goes to the judges, the prejudice of the judges is going to sway the judge's decision and it's going to go to Anthony Joshua. Listen, you're right. Sonoran, you're right in a sense. Rewatch the first fight. I found that the rounds were tight, but the commentators were like, hey, Andy Ruiz is losing these rounds. Anthony Joshua, at least the commentators that I was listening to, because, depending on what channel you're watching it on, you might have different commentators. The commentators I was listening to were very negative towards Andy Ruiz, and I thought that Ruiz was winning the majority of the rounds. I didn't think that it was a landslide win for Anthony Joshua. I thought that they were expecting a landslide win, but then when we watch the fight, we got to put that aside. We got to put our biases aside. And I don't think the commentators that I was listening to did that. They were trying to basically play it off that Andy Ruiz is letting this opportunity slip it through his fingers, which I thought it was way more competitive than I was watching. I thought it was 50-50. I thought the rounds were very close, and I was favoring Andy Ruiz until the knockdown. And then Andy Ruiz rallied back to win. But I did have Anthony Joshua winning round number 4. Okay, what else we got here? Let's check out the comments and questions are flying in. Can Saudi's warm and dry weather make them fatigue faster? That's from Omar Rahbi. You know what? I've been in the Middle East once for an event, the Abu Dhabi event where Khabib took on Dustin Poirier. And in the arena, it was hot. It was really hot. In the locker room, they had this giant air conditioner. And when I went in our locker room, I complained because I went to the people running the show, the UFC, and said, look, our room is too hot. And they're like, we had a problem with this air conditioner. This air conditioner is not working to full capacity. And I'm telling you, it's the biggest air conditioner I've ever seen. It was like almost the size of a car. And when I went in the arena, I said, look, I talked to the UFC and I was like, guys, this arena is hotter than usual. You know what's going on? They're like, well, they had to open the air conditioning 7 days before, and they only opened up 5 days before. I talked to the staff, and they were like, listen, there was a screw up. This arena is hotter than it should be. I don't know if this is true. This is what they were telling me. Okay, guys, this is the UFC staff. They were telling me, look, this arena is supposed to be cooler than it is tonight, and it's because we're 2 days behind on the air conditioning. Now, I was pretty surprised that it takes 7 days to cool off this arena. I wouldn't have thought it takes that much time. I thought maybe 24 hours. And I'm telling you, they have massive air conditioners. Everywhere you go in the Middle East, it's air conditioned heaven. Like you go in your hotel, air conditioned heaven. You go into your restaurants, you go anywhere, it's all at the mall. It's so well air conditioned. Like they probably have the best air conditions in the world. So I don't think it'll have this issue. However, when I went to Abu Dhabi, there was this slip up, and I was surprised because the locker room it was suffocating. And okay, maybe it wasn't that bad. I don't want to say it was that bad. However, it was bad enough for me to complain. I felt like, it was humid, and I was worried about the fight, the arena that night. It didn't seem to make too much of a difference in the fight, so it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. However, in this fight, because it's happening in the Middle East, I'm pretty sure that they're going to get it right. The air conditioning, they're going to get it right, because that makes a huge difference. If there is an air conditioning issue, I'm giving it to Ruiz hands down. Why? Because the man's Mexican. In Mexico, they have high altitude. Because when you're fighting in the humidity, it feels like high altitude because there's less oxygen. Andy Ruiz is coming from Mexico. He has elevation training. It's going to feel natural to him, or more natural, I should say. Anthony Joshua is from England. It's not going to be as natural for him. I doubt, however, there's going to be an air conditioning issue, even though it has happened once to me. And I think it was just a bit of a slip up. It just so happened. But I'm telling you, when you go in the Middle East, they have the best air conditioning in the world. Like everywhere you go, it's cold. Like I actually bring a sweater sometimes when I'm going to the mall. Like I'll put something like, something really light on because it's too cold for me. It's just they love the cool. They love it. Like when you go in a cab or something, it's too cold. And then you get out of the cab, it's super hot. So sometimes I will wear like a shirt over my, something longer because I get cold. It's just cold. Hasn't AJ fought a tougher competitor than Wilder? That's from Death Furno. Well, he beat Klitschko, but I don't think Klitschko was in his prime. And no, I don't think Wilder can be... no, I don't think Klitschko was as good as Wilder. I don't. So I would have to say no to that answer. Super chat. I know it's off topic, sorry, but who do you think hits harder, Wilder or Ngannou? Okay, I'm going to take it because it's super chat, but please keep it on topic for now. We're still not done with the Andy Ruiz, Anthony Joshua fight. I will answer you. It's hard to say, but I would say Wilder. Just the fact that, it's hard to say, guys. Really, really hard to say. There's just something special about how Wilder does it. He barely moves his arm and he KOs people. He barely moves his arm and he puts the KO on you. Something tells me it's Wilder, but hard to say. Okay, more comments or questions, please, on the Ruiz-Anthony Joshua fight. Don't forget, Andy Ruiz Jr. is the first heavyweight Mexican world champion. This is history in the making, guys. What exercise for Ruiz to lose weight? That's from Cesar Rodriguez. That's a good question. You know what? For him to lose weight, I would probably put him on the Airdyne. I would probably use Airdyne and shadowboxing. Again, I would want to put him in the aerobic, what do they call it? Aerobic zone. I want to keep him in the aerobic zone. However, I wouldn't want him to run too much because I think heavyweights shouldn't run too much. It's not good for their knees. Okay, it's not good for their knees long term. I would probably put him on the Airdyne or elliptical and keep him in that aerobic zone. Again, that would just be his warm-up and his after work. I call it finishers. Finishers. How to finish your workout, I would use aerobic work. Why? Because he's carrying too much fat on him. And his trainers should get wise to that. The man is world champion, for goodness sake. Does a big gut make you hit harder? That's from Azualas. No, I don't believe it does. I believe it's dead weight. I don't believe a big gut makes you hit harder. There's actually a case study done by Michael Kogan where he takes an athlete, he takes a few athletes actually, tests their power, and then he makes them lose weight, drop fat, and he tries to control that. He doesn't put them through a plyometric phase or a strength training phase. He tries to maintain what they've always done and make them lose just fat. And in his conclusion, losing fat makes you more powerful. Losing fat actually makes you more powerful. And he goes into his theories why, but they make a lot of sense. If you want to read up on it, check out Michael Kogan's New Power Program. The book is called The New Power Program. Mabruk on the new mic. That's from Anas. Anas, thank you for noticing, guys. Thank you for noticing. Just a quick little note. The last episode, I had a major sound problem. Okay. And I took off the video because there was just like so many. There was echoing. I'm going to have Abe, the editor of this channel, who does a beautiful job of editing videos, guys. The Those of you who are appreciating the edited videos, that's a shout. Let me give a shout out to Abe. He works on this channel. He does a very good job. Abe, please go back and edit the last video. Take out everything that was echo. Take out all the bad sound bites. Take up all the video of me screwing up. There's 2 clips. Put them together and re-air it. The last 8 Ask Me Anything, I made a major error. I apologize to you all. I had to pull the episode till Abe can edit it, and then we'll repost it. Then I went out. I bought a new mic. I bought new software. I bought a audio interface. Guys, I got to be a purple belt now in button pushing. I know what an audio interface is now. I know the difference between a dynamic mic and a compressor mic. This is a compressor mic. I am button pushing like I never button pushed before. I have an audio interface. That's why the sound is so good. And I even figured out how to go from stereo to monologue. I'm figuring all this stuff out, guys. Please, somebody out there, mint me a purple belt in button pushing. I am now button pushing like I've never button pushed before. I did this weekend. I sat down with my computer and I listened to a bunch of YouTube videos, how-to videos, and I had to bite my nails. It was so uninteresting to me. It was so like hard for me to understand because they're using terms that I didn't know what they meant, so I have to search the terms. It was tough, but I did it, guys, and I did it for you guys to increase the level of this channel. I hope you guys hear me loud and clear. I am now tweaking my interface to make sure that the sound is even just perfect for you guys, and it was pretty expensive as well. I am also in the market for a dynamic mic. Maybe it's going to be even better for podcasting, but I think compressor is going to be good because I do want to play videos for you guys. I do want to make reaction videos where I watch a fight, or even when we go off topic or whatever and we're talking about other interesting things. I want to be able to play a video. You guys hear the video, the sound of the video, and then me kind of comment on it. So that's the coming down the way. This channel is getting better and better, and I hope you guys are enjoying it. Okay, back on the fight. Boxing is boring to watch. Nicholas, I don't agree, man. Depends who's fighting. This fight, I promise you. First of all, guys, this man, I love what he said after the fight. I love how he said, I don't have to struggle no more. Me and my family don't have to struggle no more. That really pulls on my heartstrings. I don't know if it does for you guys, but it does. Because the guy, he's fighting for his future. He made it. And he was a major underdog. I love to see somebody who's, the odds are stacked against him. And they go in there and they march forward, and everybody thinks they're going to lose. Everybody thinks you suck. Everybody thinks you're horrible. Everybody's saying it's never going to happen for you. You're not worthy. You got to take that psychological beating. You got to stand there in front of a monstrous human being that's knocked out every other man he's ever faced, save one. You got to look at him. You got to feel the fear that is natural to fear. It's natural. Your brain is telling you, hey, you're in incredible amounts of danger here. This man standing in front of you is known for knocking people out in the worst way. You got to stare across the ring, look at that dragon, and you got to be like, you know what? Nothing is going to move me. Nothing is going to scare me. Nothing is going to shake me. I have that courage. Even though everybody's trying to rationalize where you're going to lose. You heard them, for sure. He even said in the post-fight interview, he said, look, I read everybody's comments. I heard what everybody has to say. And it's very hard to avoid it because when you're doing your pre-fight interviews, they tell you, the media tells you, hey, you're the underdog. So-and-so said you're going to lose. So-and-so said you're going to get killed in round 1. You got to go in there. You got to make that walk, that scary walk. You got to stand in front of that man. And then you got to fight him for real. This is not scripted. This is real punches being thrown here. And then in round 3, he gets knocked down. He has physical evidence, empirical evidence that everybody is right and he is wrong and he's a fool to be there. And he still gets up and marches down and fights and throws punches, and he still believes. And he overcomes all these obstacles, both psychological and physical. If you find that boring, man, I don't know what can excite you. This man solidified his future by facing what would petrify most men. He must have worked like an animal to get where he is. He is a mentally Mentally strong is a major understatement. Major understatement. That guy has a heart of a lion. I know it's cliche to say, but that man has a true heart of a lion. That's extreme courage, bravery, extreme. Now, for sure, they're dangling millions of dollars ahead of, for sure, if you become world champion. Now, his next purse right now is going to be big. It's going to be big money. For sure, these are motivating factors. But to even have something so motivating like that, it's not enough. You got to have a heart. You got to have incredible courage and toughness, because there are physical realities to fighting. Okay, you can talk all you want behind your computer. You can talk all you want in front of a camera, but you actually got to get in there. The guys who actually get in there and do it, they have my utmost respect. And that's what I see when I watch a fight. I see a guy who's a major underdog, but he has the guts to get in there and do it. That's why, all fighters have my utmost respect. Anthony Joshua has also got a major mountain to climb. He's got his demons. There's got to be demons in his head that he's got to overcome. And, we're going to see on Fight Night how he does it. Okay, guys, what else we got here? Do you think boxers or MMA fighters have better cardio? That's from Lucas Ribeiro. Cardio is very specific. So MMA fighters have better cardio for MMA, and boxers have better cardio for boxing. They're very different types of cardio. Not one or the other should be seen superior. Now, if we're talking about self-defense in the street, for sure cardio of MMA is superior in that sense. Okay, for sure it's superior. But for boxing, it's inferior. Joshua gonna win. Why? Oh, hold on. Joshua gonna win. Why? First match, he seems to rush the KO when Ruiz went down. Then he got caught. So Roger M is saying, look, Anthony Joshua is gonna win this fight. The last fight, he just, he got caught by surprise because he was rushing the KO. That very well might be, Roger, but I don't agree. I have to disagree. You know why? Yes, he underestimated Andy Ruiz. Absolutely, he underestimated him. And I hear that he's in the gym. I hear Anthony Joshua is in the gym working overtime. The man is not crazy. He understands that this guy Ruiz is tough. And I agree that underestimating Andy Ruiz was a major mistake. He was too nonchalant about the knockdowns as well. But I still feel that he has a technical issue with his defense. He wasn't able to control the range. And if he's not able to control the range again in this fight, he's going to lose. If he is able to control the range again in this fight, if he is, I think he can win. I do agree with you, okay? If he actually tries to outbox Ruiz instead of outmuscle Ruiz, he can win. Because he does have a really good jab. He's a very good boxer. Anthony Joshua has boxed very well in the past. He just didn't when he fought Andy Ruiz. When he fought Andy Ruiz, he was kind of like fumbling around from different looks, different stances. He never got comfortable in the fight. He never found Andy Ruiz's number, even though he did knock down Andy Ruiz. He did that with sheer athletic ability. He didn't outbox Andy Ruiz. Does he come back and outbox Andy Ruiz in the rematch? That would surprise me. But that would be the right strategy in my opinion. But it would surprise me. Okay, guys. Ruiz eats 47,000 calories a day. That's from Carrie. Carrie with the jokes. Medbaya asks, can I develop a heart like the Diaz brothers? That's from Medbaya. Yes, you can. I think incrementally you can. It's not easy. But you got, a fighter recently was talking to me on the mats. After grappling practice. This is a grappler who wants to become a MMA fighter. And at Tristar, we have skills only Muay Thai classes and boxing classes where there's no sparring. So you're only working the skills. You're hitting pads. You're doing the bag. So there's skills only. That's for people who don't want to spar. And then we have a level up where it's touch sparring. It's not pro sparring. It's touch sparring. We're not allowed full contact. Think about it as like a friendly sparring match. Okay, so there's coaches on the mat. We're sparring. Everybody's 30, 40 people, sometimes 50 people sparring at once. It's kind of like Cuban sparring or Thai sparring. For those of you who have ever done that before, in Thailand they just kind of touch. In Cuba they just kind of touch. They don't try to knock each other down. They're not rough. They're not sparring that kind of way. There's touch sparring. And then if you're really good at touch sparring, we invite you to the pro. Where pro sparring, we spar for real. Now we glove up. Everything's like headgear. And we're sparring like a professional boxing gym would. Okay? We call that pro sparring. And he was asking me, he says to me, you know what? Do you think I'm ready for touch sparring? He's been doing skills training for like months. And I said to him this, I said, look, if you're not ready for touch sparring, don't be a fighter. Like, if that's too much for you, don't try to get into fighting. He's like, yeah, you're right. You know, he's kind of laughing. I'm like, yeah, get it. Start touch sparring right away. I tell people, look, start touch sparring right away. Touch sparring is super safe. And I'm talking about touch. I mean, it really tough. I got instructors on the mat. They're watching everybody. If somebody gets out of line, we tell them. Sometimes we let the guys who are more sparring experience go a little tougher. So let's say two guys have sparred together 20 times already. We let them go a little more, okay? But there are monitors on the floor watching that a beginner are really touch sparring. And two more seasoned guys can go a little harder. Okay, so I don't want to say it's touch for everybody all the time. No, you get a really good workout without getting hurt. That's the spirit of the sparring. Of course, that's the same spirit for pro, but we flirt with danger more. Let's put it that way. If you're not ready for touch sparring, forget about being a fighter. So you go from touch sparring to sparring, and then from sparring to competing, amateur fighting, then from amateur fighting to pro fighting. As you go up the echelon, you will get tougher and tougher and tougher and tougher because you've seen more. You're now more seasoned, and you could develop that toughness. But in my opinion, you could also develop that toughness with really good sparring, intense sparring. I don't want to say rough sparring, beating each other's brains in, but tough sparring, toughness, and competing in wrestling, competing in grappling, competing in amateur boxing. Just like competing more will make you tougher. Lucas Ribeiro asks, hey coach, running 10Ks, any help for MMA? Listen, 5K for me, I think is the most you need to run. Run 5K really intensely. 7K is good. 10K, in my opinion, is way too much. I'd rather you run a 5K faster or a 7K faster. Let's say 7K is really the absolute most I'd ever use. You've addressed the fat problem, but can you compare the effect over the career of DC, Fedor, Andy Ruiz? Oh, this thing is skipping. I'm getting a lot of comments rushing in here. I'm sorry, but this thing is skipping. These are among the heavyweight fighters, but they all had a big gut. Pure coincidence? Question mark. Okay, so you're saying DC had a big gut. Fedor had a big gut. Andy Ruiz has a big gut. Look, I wouldn't say Andy Ruiz is one of the greats. He's not there yet, okay? He's not there yet. If he gets flattened by Anthony Joshua this weekend, people are going to say that fight was a fluke. That's what they're going to say. And they're not going to remember him as a great heavyweight. Okay. But DC was a great heavyweight and Fedor was a great heavyweight and they had a gut. Okay. Good point. If you look at the greatest heavyweights of all time, of all time, I would say Fedor and DC are among them, but there are other great heavyweights. Okay. Miocic didn't have a gut. Ali didn't have a gut. Tyson certainly didn't have a gut. So if we're looking at there haven't been that many heavyweight champions in MMA. There have been, but MMA is not over 100 years old like boxing. If you look at Brock Lesnar, he had no gut. I mean, there's so many heavyweights with no gut. So it's not the gut. Nogueira had no gut. Krokop had no gut. I would say there are more heavyweight champions without a gut. So the gut is not why they were champion. I wouldn't say that. And Andy Ruiz is far from being one of the greats. Okay, here we go. Andy Ruiz got a weird body type, though. Yeah, you're right. Some people train all day long, and even though they eat healthy, they still have fat reserves. You're right. But you got to minimize that fat. That fat is not helping you. So, yeah, you're right. He's more predisposed to being fat. You know, like for me, if I don't eat clean, I gain fat. I know so many athletes, they don't eat clean. I'm with them. Like, for instance, when I hang out with George, if I eat what he eats, not now, like now he's more clean with his food. But back in the day when I'd spend like 2-3 weeks with him every day, if I ate what he ate, I gain weight. And we were doing the same workouts. I couldn't eat what he eats. Food doesn't respond the same way to him. Like if I eat too much bread, and I love bread, guys, I'm Lebanese. Bread is one of the most beautiful things in the world to a Lebanese man. Okay, I love bread, but I gotta minimize the amount of bread that I eat, because if I eat the amount of bread that I would enjoy eating, I would gain weight. Okay, so I eat bread. I still eat bread. I eat rice, but the carbs that work best for me getting lean are like quinoa, rice, sweet potatoes. You know, like potatoes work really good for me, and some bread. But George eats bread, doesn't have a problem. So, it does depend on the body type. At least that's been my experience. All right, guys, what else we got here? Basically, Andy Ruiz has got to stay away from the bread. I have a feeling the bread is not good for him. Andy Ruiz is going to lose as Joshua was overconfident and will go in with a game plan. That's from WS. Yes, you're right. His game plan was really bad. His game plan the first time around was really bad. And I think he didn't even have a game plan. He didn't seem like he had a game plan whatsoever. So that could be a huge game changer. Look, if he beats him cleanly, I'm gonna tell you, WS, you're right. Because on paper, Anthony Joshua should have clipped his wings. He should have won that fight quite easily. He should have outboxed him, and his physicality should have been too much. Look at the size of the. I gotta replay this again. Look at the difference in size. Hold on, let me see if I can get this again here. Did I close it? Uh-oh. Hold on, let me see if I close it. I want to show you guys. Look at the size difference of these two. I'm going to replay this video with no sound. Look at the size difference. Andy Ruiz is actually heavier. It says here he's 268 and Anthony Joshua is 248. But again, it's a very different 248. Okay, the strength, the size difference, the reach difference. All right, here it is. I turned off the sound, yeah? Okay, let me play it here. All right, I would say that, okay, Andy Ruiz is heavier, but it has a lot to do with the fat. He's carrying around dead weight. If we measure how much muscle do both of these men have, it would be pretty even, or Anthony Joshua, in my opinion, would have more. Now look at his height and his reach. He's not using his height and his reach. If you're looking at these two men right now, imagine Andy Ruiz without all the fat. Look at that fat jiggle. Look at it on his back. Look at that back fat. It's incredible. The love handles. There's a lot of weight there. There's a lot of weight. Look at the chiseled physique of Anthony Joshua. And the reach and height makes a major difference. They don't call it reach advantage for no reason. We don't call it that for fun. Okay? There's actually a history of why they started measuring reach in boxing, because they realized that the guy with more reach would win more often. And that's actually statistically true. Okay, I don't have it on hand now, but believe me, I've looked at the numbers. Google it later. You'll find that the history of reach is very interesting, actually. They started calling it reach advantage because people obviously were gambling on boxing, and people want to know, well, who has the longer reach? Sometimes guys are of the same height, but one of them has a longer reach. That favors the winner. So they coined the term reach advantage. Now look at these two men's physique. Look at it on your screen. Look at these shoulders of Anthony Joshua. These two guys don't look like they belong in the same weight category. Now, when we look at the scale is going to be very deceiving because Andy Ruiz is carrying a lot of weight. That's the truth. Look at his body. Look at all that jiggling. His trainers will do him a big favor if they trim some of that off. Look at that kangaroo style I was talking to you guys about earlier, that hopping style. I love that style. I think there's a right time to do that. Okay, classically, you've seen a lot of greats like Jack Dempsey use it. Shorter heavyweights have used it classically as well. Look at that hop. Again, the very poor defensive skills by Anthony Joshua. That's what I saw. Can he fix it? Can he fix it before the next fight? Well, now it's too late. I mean, has he fixed it? Rather, I should say. I'm thinking no. I'm thinking he didn't. But again, you're right. He didn't. He went in there without a strategy. He went in there looking like he had no strategy, I should say, and he looked overconfident. Okay, guys, I want to give a quick thank you to my sponsors. Gym Kings. Look at this sweater, boys. Check out Gym Kings. Make sure to pick up some of their apparel. JujiClub.com. I have 2 instructionals out. Guard Pass Prevention. Zahabi's favorite guard pass prevention techniques. And also, I did one on lockdown guard, the reverse De La Riva lockdown guard. Make sure to get these 2 videos. I promise you, your guard will get 50% better. And of course, timtam.tech. Timtam.tech. We have the all-new Timtam. We have the Timtam Pro out on the market, guys. These are shipping again in December. We got sold out. We were sold out of these bad boys. I'm telling you, this is the greatest device in the world. This one I'm holding in my hand right now, the Pro. Timtam Pro. Make sure you get the Timtam Pro, the only high-powered massager with heat. Guys, we are shipping again in 2 weeks. Order now because you can't get it better than this machine. If you're training full-time, get the machine. Check out the customer reviews. Everybody absolutely loves them. I ordered another one from Timtam. They're putting me on the back burner because they want to give you guys all your Timtams first. I'm waiting on mine. I told them, guys, serve the customers first. Make sure everybody's happy. Make sure my customers, make sure the team is happy out there. We are shipping worldwide. We're shipping to Canada. They were free shipping recently. I don't know if they're still doing free shipping. Check it out. They're shipping over, I think it's free over $400 now. There's some special going on right now. Check it out. Order your gun because I don't know if the next shipment, how long it's going to be. These guns are unbelievable. You absolutely have to have one. And here's one little thing I want to warn you about. There's a lot of guys who are right now selling guns, and the travel is the distance between this piston, how far it goes in and out. This is a 32 millimeter travel, the greatest travel in the world. There's no gun in the world, high-powered massager, that has more than 32 or 32 millimeters. They're all 27. The second longest travel is this one, 27 millimeters. After that, it falls down to 17. Some have 20, some have 22. It's really like a Walmart massager. They order them from China. It's a Chinese knockoff. They make it look like this, but the motor inside is not the same. And the reason why, they're gonna be like, we have 3 hours of battery life or whatever. Because the machine is not really taking a lot of power. The machine is not a high-powered machine. If I lowered the power, the battery would last longer. And by the way, guys, this battery lasts twice as long as the old one. I've never run out of battery. Never. I always recommend to people, buy the extra battery. It's $50. That way you always have a battery charge. I always have a battery charge. But if I use it, it'll last me over an hour and a half, 2 hours. I never have it on maximum with heat all the time. If you were running it on maximum with heat, it would last over an hour. That's a crazy amount of massaging. You won't need that much massaging. That's a crazy amount of tenderizing for you're going to tenderize your entire body with that, okay? There's an incredible amount of battery in this machine. Incredible. And the reason why it doesn't last 5 hours is because it's a high-powered machine. If I took that guy's battery and put it in this machine, his battery wouldn't last 45 minutes in this machine. It would get killed. This machine puts out a lot of power. It has 32 millimeters of travel with heat. Anyways, I don't need to sell it. We're sold out. I'm just telling you guys what the best machine is because I don't want you guys to buy a cheap knockoff. This one is made for the guys who's budgeting. It's high. It's just as powerful. I'm telling you, just as powerful, just shorter travel. So it's not as intense. Okay. A little less power, let's say, but it's a little bit more noisy. This thing's bulletproof. It's solid. You can throw this machine down the stairs. It won't break, but it's a little bit more noisy than this machine. This machine is ultra quiet. Plus it has heat. You can't beat the heat. All right, guys, that's me thanking my sponsors. Of course, tsdorms. If you guys want to train with me, GSP, the whole team, email tsdorms@gmail.com. Talk to them. Say, hey, I want to come in for a week. How much? They're going to tell you what kind of room you want. What do we have available? They'll let you know. They'll give you a quote. Come and train with me. Do a jiu-jitsu camp. Do an MMA camp. I'm training people of all levels all year round. Okay, guys, with that said, I'm going to answer a couple more questions because we're still under an hour, and I typically do an hour. We have thoroughly done the Anthony Joshua and the Ruiz fight. I will take more questions on that fight if you guys want to continue, but I also take questions on anything else. So I'm going to take a quick little sip of this Heel Hook Everybody mug, and I'm going to let you guys write up those questions, and I'm going to jump in the chat room in a sec. All right, let's see what questions. Dude, I'm going bald at 20. What do I do? That's from QW. Wow, QW. I'm definitely not expert in that area. But what I suggest is you do a lot of reading on, look, I'm a big believer in diet and exercise, on diet and hair loss. I've come across some literature on diet and hair loss. Now, again, I'm not an expert in this. Read what scientific literature they have on diet and hair loss and look for the number one, expert on hair loss. There's got to be tons of material on there. Now, thank the Lord, thank God. The one thing I tell my wife every so often, I tell, look, I'm so grateful that I still have all my hair. Guys, I'm going to be 40 years old very, very soon. I'm going to give you guys a quick look at the dome. Okay, now this is under a high-powered light. Okay, I got a studio light here. Okay. You guys take a look at the dome. Now, I hope I haven't checked it in a while, but thank the Lord I still have all my hair. And I always tell my wife, I know it's genetic. I know there's so many components. Like nobody even really knows. I don't think anybody really knows the reason why some men lose their hair and some men don't. But if I was losing my hair, I would grow a beard and shave my head. I think it looks good. I think the men who do that do look good. That's my plan B. If I do keep having hair, I'm going to keep it like this, But when it comes to hair loss, I'm not really that well read in it. But I have come across it every so often. And for those of you who have an interest in it, become an authority. Read 20 books this year on hair loss and see if you can slow down or even reverse the process. Would a boxing match between Francis Ngannou and Andy Ruiz be a competitive fight? That's from Named Withheld. Let me use that trick where because it's hard for me to read because it's so small. Can you guys type in caps? I won't take it as you yelling. If you can type in caps, that would be really appreciated. Who would win between Andy Ruiz and Ngannou? Look, I think Ngannou could knock him out in the first 3, but after that, he's going to run out of juice. It'll be a toss-up. It'll be a tough one. But I would pick Andy Ruiz just because he'd be wise enough to go to the body and take it in later rounds, and he'd probably beat Ngannou. Ngannou's not trained for boxing, even though I think he should train for boxing because there's a lot of money to be made, both in MMA and in boxing. If I had Ngannou's power, I would do boxing and MMA. I would cross over. I would negotiate with UFC and I would tell them, look, I'm going to convert those boxing fans for you. Now, I wouldn't go fight Andy Ruiz on my first fight. I wouldn't. I'd want to get built up and I'd want to do a mega fight. If I had Ngannou's power, I would plan to be the heavyweight UFC world champion and the heavyweight world boxing world champion. That would be my goal. If I was blessed with that power, I would venture to do both. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Uh-oh. Excuse me, gentlemen. I just I screwed up here a little bit. Okay, no, I really screwed it up. I got a little cocky with my button pushing skills. Now I kind of warped the screen. All right, now I really need tech support. All right, I'm fixing it. All right, we're back. You guys remember that movie Vanilla Sky, where Tom Cruise realizes he's what was it again? It was some company who put him under cryotherapy or something. He was frozen, and he realizes he's in a computer or something, and he starts screaming tech support. That's how I feel sometimes when I'm shooting this podcast. I'm like, oh my god, I just pushed the button, I don't know how to undo it, and I want to scream for tech support. Luke Godge, hi coach, aspiring fighter from UK, currently amateur but looking to move to Canada Tristar in the future. What skill level do you recommend I get to before I make the move? You're the GOAT. Thank you, Luke Godge. Listen, Luke, I work with all athletes of all levels. I think you should come as soon as possible. Come do a 2-week trial. Come in for 1 week. There's no reason for you, if you're serious about becoming pro, if you want to make it big, there's no reason to wait. People always tell me, hey coach, I'm going to go to this gym, get in shape, and I'm going to come see you. Guys, at TriStar, we have trainings of all levels. You have to come and see it for yourself. We've got great athletes of all levels. The TriStar is meant to funnel you where you belong and build you up. I don't bring guys in to get smashed and to build some other guy on top of him. That's not what I do. I'm a big believer in creating a pyramid. That guy you smashed and broke his... Sometimes you go to a gym, the new kid comes in, the pros, they want to beat him up, kick his ass, throw him out of the gym. That guy could have been a really great sparring partner for you. Like when you come to TriStar, the gym is packed, and it's packed for that very reason, because they feel like when they come to the gym, they're all getting better. So they love to come to the gym, and there's more people coming to the gym because there's this building the athlete, not crushing the athlete. I have this culture that we're developing in TriStar, and it's working really well. So Luke, my answer to you is come pay a visit. Come for a weekend. Come for a week. Get a room at the TriStar Gym doors. It's really, really cheap, and try it out. And you'll see. You'll see how long you'll be sure of your answer. I recommend guys come as soon as possible. What's your opinion on Justin Trudeau? That's from Name Withheld. I would say, look, he's a really nice guy. I know him personally. I've met him in the past. He used to train at TriStar. He used to box at TriStar. Very sweet guy. I'm not too familiar with his politics, guys. I'm actually more familiar with U.S. politics. I'm not an expert in politics. Okay, my understanding of politics comes from Plato. That's really what I've when it comes to reading politics, it mostly 99% of it comes from Plato and Aristotle. Okay, so Plato, Aristotle, Marx. In philosophy, for those of you who don't know, I graduated in philosophy. I have a bachelor's in philosophy. We have to study politics because great philosophers talked about politics. But I'm not an expert in politics, current events, etc. I do sometimes open up the news, and I want to stay current, but these topics are not of major interest to me. And what are Trudeau's policies? I'm not even sure, to be honest with you. I know he's very left wing, progressive. In my opinion, I like to be in the middle. Okay, I'm not right wing, I'm not left wing. I like the middle. But if you're talking to me personally, I think he's a very nice guy, a very sweet human being. I've met him many, many times. He's been in my gym many, many times. He doesn't train there anymore, but a very, very good guy. Thoughts on people saying AJ quit. That's from Last Emperor for Life. I don't think he quit, but he wasn't dying to get in there again. Like, he was too nonchalant about it. If I was a world champion and I got knocked down, I would have been like, hey, everybody get out of my way. I'm going to make this right. I felt that Ruiz, when he got up after getting knocked down, that's why he was hungry to win. I think Anthony Joshua has found that hunger again, because I've listened to one of his interviews yesterday. And he says he's back in the gym, he's working overtime, and after this fight, he's getting right back in the gym because he knows the Wilder fight is down the line if he wins. He knows there's going to be a Fury fight down the line if he wins. He's got to win big, though. He's got to win big. And that gave me some confidence in his comeback fight against Ruiz. However, I still feel that the fact that he lost his weight, he's losing weight in the fight, and the fact that his defensive skills are not what they should be, makes me doubt him. But guys, don't forget, he has such a great track record. It doesn't surprise me if he wins this fight. I don't want to say he's going to lose for sure. Like, this is not a 80-20 fight. This is not a 99-1% fight, 99 to 1%. This is, my opinion, is a 55-45 fight. And 55-45 is not great odds, but it's still odds that I would pick Ruiz for. Can I become a contender at 55? That's from High Art 69er. High Art. I wouldn't try to become a fighter at 55. I don't think combative sports with blows to the head is wise at that age. I would recommend you do jiu-jitsu. Go into jiu-jitsu. If you want to compete, you feel like you want to get into a combative sport and compete, go for jiu-jitsu, my friend. Okay, guys, let's open up a few more questions. We are quite in. I got a lot of questions coming in. Almost 1,000 people in the chat room. My super chat coach. Okay, I missed the super chat. Coach is going back for the super chat. Hey, coach, any way to treat a bulging disc, L5S1 disc, gains from the 6 is asking. Listen, I've talked about this many, many times. I won't go into it again. Please check out Kelly Starrett, Becoming a Supple Leopard. Get on Kelly Starrett's app and figure it out. Research his material. The answer is in there. In my opinion, you shouldn't get surgery. That's advice I got from Stuart McGill, a back expert. Check out the name Stuart McGill. You'll figure out what I'm talking about. The #1 expert. He's one of the top experts on the human back in research. Okay, when it comes to research on the human back, he is the #1 expert, in my opinion, in the world. Okay, what else we got here? Salam, coach. What is your intensity level when you're training out of competition? Stephen Ballo. Salam, Stephen. Listen, I vary it. I vary it. I like to start mellow. Like to start with flow rolling, back escape situations. I like to get a really good warm up and then pick it up later in practice. So my practice starts like this. Like, I'm playful, and then I'm picking it up, and then all of a sudden I'm going more intense. And the last few rounds, I'm going really I'm going rough. Not injuring anybody, but more intense. I'm really going for that double. It's all about how warmed up I am. The more warmed up I am, and you'll learn this, you'll get wise as you train for many, many years. And I've been training consistently for many, many years. I haven't taken many long time off. Like recently, I traveled like back to back, and I hadn't trained for like 6 or 7 days in a row. At one point, I went through like a 2 weeks of not training, or very little training, I should say, and that was huge for me. I had not taken 2 weeks off in forever, and I can't even say I took 2 weeks off. I still, like, when I had the pink eye, I suffered from pink eye. I did very little training when I had pink eye. I was doing research, and it was saying like your body needs to rest, your immune system needs to rest. Like, training will make the pink eye last longer. At least that's what the consensus was from all the reading I had done. And I wanted that pink eye to go away. I really suffered. I was really depressed when I had pink eye. Like, not depressed, but I was really like itching to start going back to my routine. And I trained very little in that 2 weeks. And that was huge for me, because I'm always training. And I'm not training, obviously, I'm not training to compete. I'm training because I love to train. That's part of my daily routine. I'm in the gym. Why shouldn't I train? I'm here for hours and hours on end. And it's actually, it's my favorite, it's my hobby as well. It's my profession and my hobby. So listen, after many years of training, I got to try different formulas. In my opinion, when I roll with people I know, or somebody lower level than me, so I can control the pace. I warm up really, really good, and then I'll take on a black belt, and then I'll take on a guy who's been wrestling his whole life, and then I'll have a really nice, fun match where it's intense. Sometimes I have judo masters that come in. Sometimes a guy who's been from Iran, he's a great wrestler, or this guy, he's got competitive fights in jiu-jitsu. He's a world champion in jiu-jitsu. I have lots of traffic coming in Tristar. This guy's an MMA pro. He's a top 10 in UFC. I'll roll with him, but I like to get really, really warmed up before I do a match like that. Why? Because the more warmed up I am, the less sore I'm going to be the next day, and less chance I get injured. So that's, to answer your question, intensity, you should go how you feel. Most of your training should be 80%. Once in a while, kick it up to 95. Once in a while. Okay, guys, what else we got here? What up, all? Good evening from Nova Scotia. That's from Albert. Albert, good evening. Is it evening? It's not evening. Oh, it's evening for you. Your head. Coach, how do I get 100% of all my exams, please? Give me study tips. That's from All Sports TV. Well, listen, here's a great study tip that I used to use. Write down the things you need to remember. Okay, so all studying has memory involved. I used to write it down on a piece of paper. I used to carry that piece of paper in my pocket all day long, all week long. I would rehearse that piece of paper. So I'd pull it up. Whenever I had 2 minutes, I'd look at it, because listen, when I was in university, I would train in the morning because I was competing as an amateur. I would go to school, come back and train at night. There was no time for studying. Like, I had to do my papers on the weekend super intensely. Like, I crammed, guys. It was a very tough time in my life. So I came up with many study tricks. Many study tricks. Here's another one that I had. It's a gem. So anything I had to remember, I'd write it down and pull that piece of paper out, odd times in the day, and just review it. I'd look at it and I have a very, very, in some instances, I have a very strong memory. Okay, like if I read a book, I remember everything that book says, or a lot of what that book says. And now I've been training in mnemonics for the last 3 years. That's a different topic. Okay, let's put that topic aside. Here's another great way. I used to record my notes as well. So I got even wiser at one point. So I was commuting twice a day. To school, to the gym, then back home. So 3 times a day. I was commuting a lot. So let's say I was doing like 2 hours of commuting. Let's say an hour and a half to 2 hours a day of commuting. What I would do when I would read anything or study anything, I would take my notes. Back then, I used to use a cassette player. You guys are going to laugh. Yes, I'm that old, guys. I used to use a cassette player. Now you guys have everything digital. You could do it on your phone. It's actually great. I would record. I had a cassette tape for different topics. I would record my notes. I would say, okay, this person said this. Plato said this. Plato had this concept. Whatever. I would my lecture. I would record the professor's lecture. So I had a crazy amount of cassettes of me not lecturing but reading my notes of the professor, and I would play them during my commute. So 2 hours a day I was listening to everything I had learned. And guys, you can use this for anything. Like for those of you guys who don't know, I give lectures to companies, major companies. Like right now, I just gave a lecture to a major organization that has like major chain of gyms. I've done for Husqvarna. Husqvarna is a major company for lawnmower care. Excuse me, not lawnmower care, they make lawnmowers or whatever. I've done so many lectures. I did one for a drug company. I'm doing one now in Toronto. Again, for those of you who are interested, you can email me at tristargymcanada@gmail.com. I do lectures every so often. And my lectures, what I do is I record them. So when I do them live, I have my notes, and then I re-listen to them again, and I critique myself, and I re-record them. I find that people don't do enough listening. Like when I read a book, I really do it on audio. I rather do an audiobook than read the book physically. I'm a really good listener. When I come to listen to something, or I love to watch documentaries, I can really retain it. And I think it just takes practice, because I did it back in the day. I never had time to study when I was in university. I never sat down to study. I would either read and take notes. For me, I guess that's studying, okay? But those notes, the reason why I took the notes is because I'm going to listen. Because for me, how did I embed it in my head? When I read it and I took the notes, the vocal notes, to me, that wasn't really studying. I was prepping myself to memorize them. That was just me extracting the information I need to read. I need to memorize. Then I would listen to it even in my sleep. So I would put my earphones on and fall asleep listening to my notes or to a lecture. I still do that to this day. To this day, when I sleep, I have an audiobook in my ear, or a documentary, or a lecture. I love to listen to debates, lectures, etc. I'm always getting a constant flow of dialectics, lectures, monologues, audiobooks. I'm getting a constant, I don't know how many hours I do a year. Like I just don't know. I remember when I first got the app, Audible app. Let me see if I can dig it up here. I'm a crazy Audible guy. Like for those of you who don't have the Audible app, this app right here. I don't know if you guys can see it because the bright is very light. Audible.com, guys. I'm not associated with Audible.com or anything like that. I'm just a user of Audible. They don't sponsor my channel, which they should. They should. I wish I could do book reviews and stuff. If anybody out there knows Audible, contact them. Let them know that the coach wants to do business with Audible. This is such a great app, guys. I only ever recommend stuff I absolutely love. I only ever accept sponsors from stuff I love. If I don't love the product, I won't do it. I get asked all the time to feature products on this channel, and the reason why I haven't featured other products is I don't believe in those products. So many guys came up to me with great ideas, and if you have great ideas, guys, email them to tristargymcanada@gmail.com. Send me your ideas. If it's a great idea, I'll feature it here for free. If the customers like it, if the audience likes it, then you guys can start paying after if it makes a difference in your business. I'm a big believer that if we feature a great product on this channel, it's going to sell, and you guys are going to want to try it again. Keep presenting great content, great product to you guys. It makes the customers happy, it makes the audience happy, and it makes money for everybody. I think it's great. It's win-win. Okay, I'm a big believer in win-win. We're going to talk about win-win in the future, because right now we're talking about this great app. Okay, this phenomenal app has, like, it used to have a meter. It doesn't have it anymore. Or it used to keep track of how much you're listening, and then you had beginner, rookie, vet, and then it's scholar. Like at the end, it's scholar, master. And it was a lot. It was I think it was 500 hours or something crazy, or 1,500 hours of listening. I think it was 500 hours to get to master or whatever it was, scholar or whatever. I did that in the first year. I busted the whole app easily in the first year. I'm crazy how much but I also listen to apps in my sleep. I know it sounds crazy. So the app is just, sometimes I put to sleep, I'll let it play for an hour, but I think that when I'm sleeping, I'm still listening, because I wake up sometimes kind of lucid dreaming, and I'm hearing that app and it's playing in my mind. I highly recommend it to people. I highly recommend to sleep or do hours and hours a week of listening. It's going to expand your mind. It's going to broaden your horizon. And if you're trying to memorize something, record it, replay it to yourself 2-3 times. I promise you're going to have memorized it at least 20% better than by reading it alone. replaying it 2-3 times while you're driving, whatnot, it's going to bury it in your memory. If I hear it 5 times, that's it. I've memorized it. Like, I don't have to hear something 5 times to memorize it. Like, it's going to have, or unless it's a supremely complex idea, but you guys get the picture. Try these study methods. It will help. Instead of staring at the page and rereading it over and over again and just getting up, like just burning your energy. Record it once, put it to bed, listen to it later. Wake up in the morning as you're going brushing your teeth, play it. When I wake up, I'm going through my routine, I'm listening to something. I'm constantly listening to what people have to say, what their ideas are, etc. Coach, McGregor versus Cowboy. That's from Oscar. Dude, I have to do a whole episode on that. I'm going to have to do a whole episode on that fight. I really look forward to doing it, but not today. For us, who on the UFC could be a very good boxer? That's from JSN. Conor McGregor. McGregor can be a great boxer. I think he has what it takes to cross over into boxing. He already has, of course, but he took on the best of the best ever. He needs to tone it down a bit, maybe fight a guy who's not the best of the best ever, and I think he can do really well in boxing. Coach Zahabi, what is the biggest genetic factor in punching power and speed? Please, some detail. That's from Noak. Noak, we've talked about this before. It's in Michael Kogan's New Power program. I talked about this book in this very episode. Check it out. He gives you the list of things that create power. One of them is where your muscle and ligaments are attached onto the bone. That is the number one factor in his book. I'm not going to go into too much detail because I've talked about it before and I don't like repeating myself. This channel, every episode has to have something new. Check out that book. There's more details there. Big fan, Zahabi. Do you think Tony should start with a knee kick fighting Khabib? That's from Khalid Mas. I think you're trying to mean like, should he go in with a flying knee against Khabib? Yeah, he should try it. There's nothing really to lose. But I think Khabib is too wise for that. I don't think it could happen. It could pay off. But why not? Yeah, why not take the risk? Because look, he's going to end up on his back one way or another in that fight. Might as well take the risk. Okay, guys, I'm going to end this podcast right now. I'm going to do one more question, give you guys one more answer. And then I'm going to go on. I'm going to sign off, but I'm going to talk about my new mic and stuff, okay? So if that bores you, you can shut off now. One last question. Coach Zahabi, is judo too late to start at 31 years of age? That's from Stanis. It's not too late, but look, you're not going to make it to the Olympics, okay? I got to be honest with you, unless you're a freak athlete. Another super chat just came in. What are some of the good books for MMA? Hold on a second. Oh, we got a bunch of super chats coming in. What are some good books for MMA for the mindset, etc.? Look, I was on the Joe Rogan podcast last week, and I recommended Laney Basham, his book called With Winning in Mind. I highly recommend that book. Check it out. He also has another book that I absolutely love that's called Freedom Flight. The book is not what it sounds like. Pick up that book. That book is also really, really good. It's a very short book. You could actually get that book on iTunes. I'm actually rereading. I actually reread it recently. It's a beautiful, beautiful book, and it just gives the world. It gives you a world of. It gives you a world of perspective. Check it out. I really enjoyed that book. Another super chat. This one's from Varun. The message was retracted. That's weird. Favorite fictional book. That's from Ashraf. Ashraf, my favorite fictional book is Hayya bin Yaksan by Ibn Tufayl. Ibn Tufayl wrote the first philosophical novel in history. I've talked about it in the past, so I'm going to keep it really short. My favorite book. My second favorite novel. Let's talk about that. My second favorite fiction. I have to say I was very... I don't read a lot of fiction, guys. I don't read a lot of fiction. Let's say I really love The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I really enjoyed The Alchemist. For those of you who have not read The Alchemist, I really highly recommend you pick it up. I do not read much fiction. I read more science, philosophy, history, theology. I really like these categories. This is where I spend 90% of my time. But I do read a good fiction here and there. I think it's important. What other good fiction is there? I can't say I read much fiction. I have read fiction in the past. It's just not coming to mind right now. 90% of what I read is non-fiction. Read 40 Rules of Love. That's from Mohammed. No, I have not read 40 Rules of Love. Is there that many rules to love? Let me look that book up. Hold on. Is there that many rules to love? I'm not a big love reader. Listen, like everybody else, I love love, but 40 Rules to Love by Elif Shafak. Let me see what this book is about here. Let's see. Two parallel stories that mirror each other across two very different cultures in 7 intervening centuries. This does look very interesting. You know what? I'm going to pick it up. If it's on Audible, let me go see on Audible. If it's there, I'm going to pick it up right now. I'm going to give it a read. And if it's good, I will praise you. And if it's not good, I come back on this channel and give you an earful, my friend. Oh, wrong one. Hold on a second. Audio. Audible. 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 All right. 40 rules. Oops. Let's see if that 40 rules for love. Co. 40 rules of love. They have it, my friends. Elif Shafak. 40 rules of love. Let's hear how the audio is. Sometimes the authors are horrible.
40 Rules of Love.
Oh, this is
Of Rumi. By Elif Shafak.
a novel of Rumi. This is very interesting. Okay, I'm a big Rumi fan. Let me check out this book. I'm going to download it right now. Add to cart. In the cart. All right. Okay, my friend, thank you very much for this recommendation. I will pick it up and consider it read by the end of the week. Interesting. Maybe I could romance my wife a little with some love talk. All right, I'll have to pick it up. Thank you, my friend. I've now picked up the book. It will be in my library very shortly. And highly, highly appreciate a good book recommendation. What else we got here? Have you read 1984 or Fahrenheit? I have not read Fahrenheit 51. I have obviously heard a lot about 1984. It's referenced throughout the ages. I've bought it. Honestly, I couldn't get through it. I know you guys are going to hate on me, but I got the Audible. I was listening to it. I just couldn't get through it. I will go back and do it because it's such an epic book. They say it's so great. It's so fantastic. It must be read. We're living in this age. Don't you see the signs, etc.? I haven't gone through it. Fahrenheit 51, I have never heard of. Or maybe we'll try to pick that up as well. Damn, Faraz, you're looking super cute today. I threw in the super. You're looking cute today. That's from Embed. Embed, like man to man cute. That's it's a bit touchy, but I'll accept it. Thank you. Appreciate that. Too much romantic. You see what happens when we're talking about books on love? You see what happens? Maybe I have to delete it from my library now. No, I'm just kidding. I'll read it. It'll be fun. I'm sure it's a good book. Hello from Ireland. Hello, my friends. Hello. Sub. George Orwell is a great author. I'm sure he is. Look, I don't know why I didn't get it hooked on it. I'm sure he's a phenomenal author. Maybe it's because I've heard about it so much, and then I was expecting what I already know the plot. I already know the key moments. People have mentioned it, and it's mentioned so much in literature. It's mentioned, that book is referenced so much that I felt like I kind of read it, but I haven't. And but I will get through it. I have to. It's a classic. Oh, one of my favorite books of all time. Actually, it's one of my favorite movies that's based on a book. I actually never read the book, but I actually love the story. It's Lord of the Flies. And I have to read the book. I plan on getting the book because the movie was so epic. But I'm sure once I read it, it's going to, because I love that story. And I'm sure the book is very different than the movie. However, I can imagine that's going to be one of my favorite books. I can imagine that Lord of the Flies is going to be one of my favorite books because the movie is one of my favorite movies of all time. Like that movie is like, I watched that movie when I was very young and it scarred me. It really marked me, that movie. As a young man, when I watched it, I was very, very like, it opened me to the ways of the world. Like I thought that movie was like, I went through a mind shift when I watched that movie. I didn't know the world could be like this. And lo and behold, that movie kind of woke me up a little. So I do plan on reading the book. Count of Monte Cristo, also one of my favorite movies. I haven't done the book, but will do the book. The movies are terrible. Read the book. Of course, Jeremy, the book is always way better. Every time I've ever read the book and then watched the movie is always a letdown. So you know if the movie is good, the book has got to be amazing. So those are books that I forgot that I need to pick up and read. Thank you for that reminder. I will definitely give it a read. Okay, guys, do I sign off or I do one more? I know I keep saying that. All right, let's go. Last super chat, guys. Please do not add any more super chats. This will be the best. The last one. It starts with best advice for jiu-jitsu. What that want to get better. Okay, if you want to get better at jiu-jitsu, do jiu-jitsu every day. Drill every day. Get YouTube materials. Watch YouTube videos on jiu-jitsu. Watch competition. Like immerse yourself in jiu-jitsu. Stay away from injuries. I'm giving you this summation because this is what I've said in the past. I'm giving you a summation. I don't want to repeat myself. But look, immerse yourself. Get my DVDs on jiu-jitsu. I make it really simple. Get other DVDs on jiu-jitsu. Get deep into jiu-jitsu, guys. There's no easy answer to this question, but immerse yourself. Immerse yourself in jiu-jitsu, and you will get good at jiu-jitsu. Okay, guys, listen up. I'm signing off right now. I got a new mic. I got an interface. I'm trying to take this channel to the next level. I always appreciate constructive criticism or comments or ways I can make this show better. Episode ideas. Let me know what you guys want to see on this channel. I'm thinking about reviving Pure BJJ. I've done them in the past. I want to do them again in the future. I thought those were great. I want to hear what you guys want to see on this channel. Let me know in the comments. I'm starting to take this channel a lot more seriously right now. The first 50, we're episode 54 now. Those were like me trying to find my formula. And I think the podcasting, and I'm still going to be making instructional on this video every so often. Special videos where I wrestle a giant, or I do armbar scenarios, or I do how to jab. Those are coming down the pipeline. Those are going to come. But what else is there? How is this channel looking to you guys? I want to hear your recommendations. It took me a long time to upgrade the mic just because I didn't have the time to do it, and this was more of a side project to me. But now I'm trying to take this channel more seriously. And I want to have guests on the show, but I'm being totally honest with you guys here. Look, I make a lot of money on this channel, and I'm happy and I'm grateful for you guys' attendance and tuning in. But I really want you guys to be happy with this channel. Okay, I like to give a great product. I like to, this channel's been a great success, but I haven't been as committed as I should be, and I'm gonna get more committed to the show. I want to have guests on the show, but the thing is, I got to do it remotely. And the only reason I haven't done it yet is because, one, I wanted to get a good 50 episodes in, kind of work out the kinks. But I also don't know how to do it. I honestly don't know how to push the buttons to make a remote episode where I talk to one person remotely in like Google Talk or all that stuff. I don't know how to do it and integrate it in this channel. So I'm figuring these things out, but these are going to be interesting things. I want to have interesting guests, athletes, and other type of guests. I want to have everybody on the show. Absolutely anybody, anything of interest, anything that is interesting to you guys. I think we can have a really interesting podcast together, having you guys a guest and the chat going, and kind of just take this channel to the next level. I got the sound on point now. I'm very confident when it comes to the sound, but now I'm looking forward that by episode 100, I'm giving myself another 50 episodes. I want to have this channel locked in tight. And I know it's early. 50 episodes is going to be a good year. But I want to hear you guys' recommendation. What direction do you guys want me to take this channel in? And keep this channel, take it to another level of success. All my sponsors are happy. I'm happy with this channel. I see that you guys are happy with this channel when I read the comments and the likes and all that. Thank you. It means a lot. Very appreciated. Tell me what it's going to take to go to the next level. And I think it's going to be having guests. And I will figure that out. Believe you me, I'm going to hire somebody. I'm going to figure it out. He's going to come in here. He's going to push all the right buttons. But please do understand that because I'm always in a time crunch. I got to do it this way. In the future, maybe I build a studio. In the future. Right now, I don't see that coming down the pipeline. So I'm just being honest there. It's going to be done remotely. Again, guys, very grateful for all the positive feedback. I promise you, this channel is going to go to the next level. Stick with me for another 50 episodes. Who knows? Maybe then I have guests flying in, a whole physical studio, the whole thing, the whole shebang. But that remains to be seen. For now, I'm planning on taking it to the next level with your comments and questions. Anything but build a studio, I'm open to. Tell me what your guys' comments and questions are for me taking this channel to the next level. Instructionals are coming. Pure BJJ matches are coming. I know some people have written me about that. It's coming down the pipeline. I've talked to my students about it. I told them they got to get organized and make it happen. But what else is there? That's my question to you. With that, guys, I'm going to sign off. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate your attendance and your likes, your shares, your comments. Make sure to keep all that good stuff up. And I will see you all in the next episode.